Good afternoon, everyone. Ashley, where was the update for Amanda at? I see Mandy's.
Oh dear. Let me find it.
It's okay.
It's, everyone just bear with me. First time on the job here.
Me too. It's all
Um,
good.
I think I have like 6 drafts of the agenda, so I'm sure it's on one of them, but I'll just find the email.
Okay, great.
Oh dear.
David, that shirt is amazing.
Happy 4th of July. Almost.
Yeah.
Are you one of those people that also has like the Christmas suits? You know what I'm talking about?
I may or may not have a Star Wars Christmas sweater, but
That's great.
Bryant, I'm just going to email that to you, the
Perfect.
updated. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
one less email I'm sending to everyone today
Yeah.
or this
Yeah.
week.
Okay, let's just wait a couple of more minutes so everyone has a chance to join. Got it. Thank you, Ashley. Well, I guess we should get started. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining the general meeting. And also thanks for making time to be with us right before the holiday. I'm sure that there are a lot of people out. We just want to welcome everyone. For those of you who don't know, I'm Bryant Gordon. I'm the president-elect. This is my first week and my first meeting. Marie is out of town, so I'm going to be covering for her today. So good luck to us all, and thank you for being patient. We just want to start off with a reminder of the 4 pillars: teamwork, professionalism, assuming positive intent, and calling out situations that don't seem right and actively working to make them better. Let's see, some announcements. If you have any additions that you would like to make to the newsletters, please submit that content. There is a link in the agenda for the submission request form. Let's see here. So some staff council business. On the 7th of August, there will be an in-person new staff orientation, and that will be before the general meeting that will occur at 2 o'clock that day. We also have a call for a couple of different positions here. There is the chair-elect position for the comms committee and the chair-elect position for the legislature. If you would like to take one of those positions, please feel free to contact us. Or if you have anyone that you think would be a good candidate, let us know. Voting will happen if there are multiple candidates that have been identified. Ashley, could you do the approval for the June General Council meeting minutes?
Absolutely. And I apologize. I'm just going to read what Baby sent me last year because
Perfect.
it is very official and I don't know the lingo. So bear with me here.
Great, no
I sent the minutes in the email on Monday and no one sent any edits. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes as sent. Okay, David and
David.
and who seconds?
I think Louisa seconded on that.
Thank you. And then if you can raise your hand if you approve. Okay. Okay. And any one against? I guess lower your hands. Sorry. This Teams thing's also new to me. Just bear with me for a little bit, guys.
You're doing great. Don't worry about it.
All right. And any abstain? All right. Okay, thank you so much. You
Great.
can all
Thank you,
lower your
Ashley.
hands. Thank you.
Um, okay, so looks like the next thing on our agenda is a welcome to Staff Council from President Taylor Randall. Ashley, do you have that pulled up, or would you like me to? You got it?
If you have that pulled up, that would be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, can everybody see my screen?
Hello, everyone on Staff Council. I want to welcome all the new and returning members, the Executive Committee. Thank you in advance for your service in the new academic year. First,
Brian,
so
I think we have
grateful
the
that
wrong
you're willing to
screen
volunteer
showing.
and serve.
Yeah,
We're seeing your chat, not the video.
Okay, how about now?
still your email. Yeah.
There we go.
Hello, everyone on Staff Council. I want to welcome all the new and returning members of the Executive Committee. Thank you in advance for your service in the new academic year. First, so grateful that you're willing to volunteer and serve at the University of Utah. The job you do on Staff Council to represent your colleagues and all of the different units is so important. You're literally representatives of thousands of staff members across main campus at our U of U hospitals and clinics. So thanks again. You know, as the largest employer in Utah, it's pretty important that as we seek to become a top 10 public university with unsurpassed societal impact, that we also extend that goal to being like one of the absolutely most fabulous, best places to work in the country. And I appreciate your dedication and passion to helping make this happen. We're at a pretty unique moment in the history of the university. We have a unique set of internal forces at play. As you know, we're at the nexus point of institutional planning. We're calling that Impact 2030. And some of you may have actually already been involved in those feedback sessions. Impact 2030 brings together the strategic planning processes from health sciences, main campus, and actually the physical plant, all of that all at once. And probably none of us can even remember when that last happened. We also have external forces at work. Confidence in higher education's at an all-time low. We have a legislative body that's challenging us to do better and to listen more. And our state is growing and changing. In fact, our state's economy is becoming more robust and more diverse. Put all of that together, and it's not only a fantastic opportunity, it's a paradigm shift moment at the U. It's my goal to use that moment to create a completely different kind of model for higher education. And this is really where you come in. Our collective goals are clear. We want to grow our student body to 40,000, expand our research to 1 billion, and have an impact on all 3.5 million lives in Utah. Increase our graduation rates to 80% and place 90% of our students in jobs at the time of graduation. Both as staff council and as individual staff, finding ways to contribute to these priorities in the coming year are really important and will help move us forward. So what's your measure of success? Help our students to be successful, support our research and researchers, and find ways to serve by collaborating to solve problems faced by the greater community. Thank you again for your time and all of your leadership that you provide to this university.
Okay, great. Okay, let's see. We got a few minutes here. Is Teresa, are you with us? Teresa Dvorak? Okay, she's supposed to be here with us at 2:30. I guess in the interest of time, we can go to committee updates if everyone is ready. David, it looks like Marie wants to change the way that we do the meetings so that only the people who need to make uh, um, uh, who have something to report are communicating with us. So we're just going to start. Does that seem right to you, David? This agenda? Yeah. Okay.
That's correct.
All right, great. So I guess we can start. Susan Grant, were you ready to? Hi.
I'm ready to roll. Hi.
All right, let's do it.
Ready to roll. Thank you, Brian, for running the meeting for us today. So two things to report. I did send out an email to my new committee members on Friday, still hoping to hear back from any and all, if anybody's on this meeting today, trying to get an established time where we can meet once a month on a regular basis. But the big story is that last Saturday, Dave and Marie and I took some time out of our weekend to present a potential scholarship donation and possible endowment for further scholarships that we can give out to staff members coming directly from Faculty Club. So we presented our ideas, and David did a great job of sharing a little bit of background on what Staff Council is and who we are. Marie was able to come with her hot off the press digest and distribute that in hard form. Yeah, David's show and telling, but he's disappearing into the mountain backdrop there. So, but it's a beautiful book. And they were happy to each get one. So I lingered on a little bit afterwards, and my friend, who's also the Faculty Club president, was able to share with me that the board of directors was completely excited about this potential opportunity for them to support us. They are unanimously in a forward motion. They agreed that the next step for them would be to present these ideas to their membership within Faculty Club. And they foresee that as being sometime in August happening, when most of the faculty will be at least closer to the U, like thinking about coming back to campus as the start of the school year begins. And then we can move on from there. So nothing firm to report yet, but I'm certainly very excited and hopeful that this might be a very big win for us as an organization and as an institution going forward.
Great. Well, thanks, Susan. That's great. So next up, Melissa from our events committee.
Hello.
Hello.
We are so excited. So I sent out our little intro email, and we are meeting the fourth Thursday of every month, pending holidays, because sometimes holidays get in the way, but so good things coming there. And then let me pull it. I have a link to share that Eccles gave us for 10% off any of these shows if you want to join them. You just have to use this specific link. If you go through their website, it won't work, but it is 10% off any of those shows. And then just another friendly reminder that on August 1st, coming up here, is an RSL game. I will say this, you will want to try and get tickets earlier than later, because RSL actually has been doing phenomenal. Two of their players just got into some, I don't remember, some major like Hall of Fame, I don't know, in soccer, and they've been like going undefeated. So their tickets and meets have matches, whatever they are, have been selling out. So you'll want to get on that. And then here also is for the Royals. So I haven't heard as much on them, but I assume they're doing great too. So happy to support our community partners as well. So those are just two fun things coming up here. And then, yeah, we're looking forward to we're in the works of trying to work on some other things, but we'll see how it plays out, and then we'll go from there. So thanks, guys.
Great. Thanks, Melissa. that was the only two things that we had scheduled for updates. Do any of the other chairs have anything that they need to do updating? Okay. So looks like we're still waiting on Teresa. So we'll move on to our liaison updates. So we had a couple of updates from individuals who weren't here, so I'm just going to go ahead and read those for us all. So Amanda Garcia from HRU Health. They are working on annual evaluations, and the deadline will be August 31st. They will be finalizing operational plans that will be the guidance that leaders use to establish goals for the next year. Again, that's for UHealth. Mandy had some events updates that we wanted to read. So staff council volunteers are needed for Employee Appreciation Day. That'll be on Thursday, September 19th. And if you can volunteer for 1 to 2 hours, there are different areas that might need some different people working in them. There is a link to a SurveyMonkey in the agenda if you're able to help. It was a lot of fun last year. It was really cool to hang out and talk to so many people. And then we also have the staff council table if anybody would like to work that as well. EID planning team hopes to offer 2 food options this year, sandwiches and pizza. Help them coordinate how much food to order by participating in a short survey, which is also on the SurveyMonkey page. Let's see, Kara, are you with us? You are, I see you. Hello.
Yes, hi. So for those who don't know, I'm Kara. I'm the ex officio member, so I'm the sort of liaison for the sustainability office. And my announcement is really just that July is kind of an awesome time to think about pursuing a green office certification. This is a program that my office runs. I'm the one that runs it. It's a great chance for you to chat with your team about different ways to be a little bit greener, learn a little bit more about what's happening on campus. And it's not a huge lift, but it does take a champion to make it happen in the office. A lot of people report having a ton of fun talking to their colleagues about ways to get involved, getting involved in things together. So I will drop a link in the chat, which gives you a little bit more information about the program. And that's what I wanted to share. Thanks for the time.
Great. Thank you very much. And it looks like those are all of the planned updates for our liaisons. Does anyone else have any updates that they would like to share? Okay, great. So it does look like Teresa has joined us. Teresa, hello.
Hi there. I didn't want to disturb with my moving around, so I'm just working on my cameras.
No problem.
Are you ready for me, or I'm
Yeah,
happy
we're
to
ready.
wait?
We are ready for you if you're ready for us.
Excellent, excellent. Well, hello all. I've got 2 videos going, or I've got 2 screens, so hopefully that's a little bit more helpful. You can play around with your video settings within Teams if that's helpful for you. One is my cutting board that you see here, and then of course me. And I'll start by introducing myself and my space and kind of what we do. So first off, thanks so much for inviting me. I'm happy to join all of you and maybe even know a few of you on the call. So thank you. And again, my name's Teresa Dvorak. I am faculty in nutrition and integrative physiology in the College of Health. And you are joining me here in our foods lab. So if you haven't had the chance to make it over to Hyper North, we're in Hyper North. And our foods lab is 6 individual cooking stations that you kind of see behind me with the main center island. And we teach, I direct our culinary medicine program. And so with that, it's a graduate level program that mostly students from the health sciences enroll in, though technically it is available to all graduate students across the university. And then we do a lot of community events in here as well. So we're maybe prepping for health fairs or cooking demos that we're doing on site someplace. We also have mobile cooking supplies, and so we will go out into community spaces and do hands-on cooking classes, kind of pop-up spaces. So some are in clinic spaces, conference rooms, classrooms, community centers, kind of you name it, and we're in those spaces. So a lot of variety happens in here, and for me personally, this is my happy place. This is my my love zone here in the kitchen. I love being here in the kitchen. I love teaching people how to cook, how to prepare foods that are not only good for them and healthful, but as we like to say, unapologetically delicious as well, because I am a firm believer that your food should taste good and you should love eating it. And if you don't like something, then let's find something that you do like, and figure out how to incorporate that into a healthy lifestyle. So that's some about kind of where we are in the kitchen space. And this is a recipe that we're going to make today, is one that we have used in multiple spaces. I think I first used it as a cooking demo many years ago. We partner with Red Butte Gardens and do cooking classes during the summer, both demo and hands-on. And so that's really a fun space, as well as a beautiful space to be in if you ever have a chance to go up to the garden and experience some of their education programming. Certainly come to my classes. I agree on that one, but all their classes are fantastic. And then I've also done some podcasts with the folks with Pulse Radio. And this is one of the recipes that we did as well with our men's cooking series, getting guys cooking more and comfortable to doing all of the grocery shopping to prep to execution of recipes, when maybe they aren't used to it, or didn't, gather those skills until later in their lives. So really fun, really delicious. It's also a great recipe. Why I chose it, because it's the middle of summer, and I don't know about any of you, but I'm always looking for great recipes that are pretty easy to make ahead of time, and that I can use for multiple purposes, right? Like a recipe that I can use either for a full meal in and of itself. Maybe I need to take something to a potluck or to a gathering or something of that sort. And I'm not sure about refrigeration. This recipe is a good one that, like, it doesn't have to stay cold. You can eat it cold or warm. So like for lunch the next day is a great one to kind of meal prep out for the week. And you can add and change to it is another thing that I really like about this recipe. And certainly I give you some guidelines in the recipe, and I realized I haven't yet emailed it to David and Lisa, but I will make sure that you have it right after the meeting, so you'll all have this recipe. And so any questions off the bat? Brian or David, anything, or others? We'll get right into it. Okay, so here we've got, it's great. Sometimes with Teams, you don't know which images you're going to be able to see, but I can actually see both of my images, which is helpful. So here in my bowl, I've prepped kind of my things that require the stovetop. So I chose farro for this recipe. Anybody use farro Raise of hand or anything? Anybody, any recognitions? Okay, we've got a couple of people that have used farro before. It's often found in kind of Mediterranean cuisines, Italian, Spanish cuisines, Greek cuisines, even over into Turkey as you kind of move into the Middle East. It's an excellent ancient grain. Whole grain, so lots of fiber, lots of protein. It's got a little bit of a crunch to it, which I really like. It gives some really good texture to things, and you can interchange it with, you know, a recipe that calls for couscous or rice or millet or any other grain of your choosing. It's a really nice texture, or barley even. I've put it in like a barley soup, and the farro holds up really well because it's kind of a firm grain, kind of like a barley would be. And then I have some brown lentils here. So when we're thinking about, you know, our health needs and wanting, you know, more whole foods, having things that have high in fiber, plant proteins, these are excellent choices here. And both of them actually cook up in about the same amount of time, about 15 to 20 minutes. So I had 2 pots boiling on the stovetop. Actually, you could probably put them on the stovetop at the same time. I have seen quick cooking farro, and that cooks up in about 10 minutes. So that's something you just want to be mindful that they're either you're doing them in 2 separate pots or that they have a similar cook time. So I put those in the bowl already. So I've got that. And the first thing that I'm going to do is make our dressing. So I've got some olive oil here, and I like to use a little bit nicer of an olive oil when I'm eating the dish fresh, especially when a little more robust in flavor, less likelihood maybe of it going rancid or something like that. You can bring in some flavor that way. And to add to our dressing, we're going to add a acid. And so we're going to use a lime on this one. Certainly you could use a lemon if you had it. I cut it in half. I've got an awesome juicer here. If you've got a juicer, this is great, easy, especially when you are juicing lots of limes. I made a key lime pie the other weekend and I was juicing like 10 limes. And so a juicer was key. However, I forgot to grab one of these. I actually don't have this fancy juicer at home. So I just use it when I'm cooking here at school. At home, I just use a fork. So I pierce the middle of the lime, and I use this technique with lemons or oranges or anything like that. And I just kind of slowly work that fork around and squeeze out all of that juice. I also, something when I'm cooking is that I like to keep a really clear place to cook. And so I always have like a discard bowl close to me that I can just put all of those scraps to the side as I need. And then I've got my lime juice ready to go. If I'm doing a lemon or an orange or something that might have seeds, I'll juice it into a separate bowl, scoop those out, or use a fine mesh sieve to get those seeds out. Add that directly to my olive oil there. And then I'm going to add in some Dijon mustard, as well as a tablespoon of honey for a little bit of sweetness. I feel like folks are in 2 different camps. They're either really precise cooks and measure everything, or maybe you're like me and I just kind of eyeball it and then I taste it and I make sure that we're on mark. I'm going to do about a pinch of salt and a couple rounds of pepper. I put a little bit of salt and pepper in the dressing to start to really get the flavors to start melding together. But then after I've put the salad all together, I'll do it to taste. And so maybe I'll add a bit more salt, especially with the whole grains and the lentils. A little bit more salt will help to kind of carry that flavor and make them a bit more robust. So I've got a nice looking vinaigrette here, and I'm going to put that over. Oops, sorry. Let's move it into camera range. I'm going to move it. I'm going to pour it over my lentils and my farro here, because I really want this to start combining in flavor. I kind of want it to marinate. Whole grains, lentils, kind of like beans, you know, when they're plain, they're kind of bland and hard to eat, but you put some really intense, lovely flavors with it, and they really start to open up and become extremely palatable then. So I've got that kind of marinating while I'm prepping the rest of my veggies. I just set that to the side. So I've got some different things here. The first off is an onion. And like I tell my students, there's about 100 different ways to chop an onion. And there's really no right or wrong way, just maybe some ways that are a little bit more efficient than others. So I'm going to show you one of those ways, and you just kind of practice and see what works well for you in your space. Oh, first of all, I realized that my cutting board, does anybody else have cutting boards that kind of wiggle on them? Yep. So here's a quick trick is to damp a paper towel or a washcloth and just set that right under your cutting board. And now it's nice and firm and it's not going anywhere. So the onion, I've cut it in half. I've kept the root end intact. And I don't know if there's any other criers out there with onions. I myself am a big crier when it comes to onions. There's a lot of tactics out there. My foolproof way is just hurry up and get through it and move on. But actually, if you keep that root end together, it will hold a lot of those oils that tend to go airborne and irritate our eyes together. So keeping that root end intact, I cut off the blossom end there, and then I peel back the layers of the onion. Now, you know, some onions, you know, will peel quite nicely like this one did. Others, that outer skin will really stick to kind of that first layer. You know what? A little bit of paper or a risk of cutting your finger is not worth it. Just get rid of that whole first layer and we are good there. And another reason why I like to keep that root end intact is it gives me something to hold on to as I'm moving down the onion. So now I'm going to have the onion work for my advantage. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to go tip down and I'm going to rock all the way through the onion, but I'm not going to cut through the root end. I'm going to come just in from that root, and then I'm making my slice down, and I'm using about 1/4 inch slices. I'm using my fingertips as a good solid hold on to that onion. Again, I've cut it in half so it stays in place and doesn't roll all over for me. And I just slowly move those claw fingers back. I've got a nice strong hold on my chef's knife here. So good hold is pinching it with your thumb and first finger right at kind of the point, the edge of the blade here, and then taking your other 3 fingers and wrapping them nice tightly around the blade. Versus, you know, some folks will put that finger out on top of the blade, which feels okay at first, but the more you start chopping, the more tiring that finger gets out there. And so if you tuck it back, you still get that really strong control on the knife without so much fatigue. And then I'm again using that claw and kind of holding my onion all together, but also with keeping that root end intact, it all stays close by. It doesn't kind of create this giant mound on my cutting board in front of me. And I can bit swiftly move my knife through. I can take that root edge and put it in my discard bowl. And now I've got pretty evenly diced onion relatively quickly, right? And then if I notice that there's a few pieces that are a little bit long, I might just run my knife through pretty quickly, always swiping down your blade, never across your blade, and certainly not up your blade. And I've got my onion here. This recipe calls for a small to medium onion. And this is something as well, especially with the marinade, that you can, that's kind of in our way here, that you can play around with what you like. If you don't like so much onion, don't put as much in, or start with a little bit and then build it up as you want to. If you don't like certain things, switch them out with others. I've also chopped up a cucumber. So I've got a little bit here. Here's my English cucumber. So I like to make these relatively small dices is what we're going for, kind of this 1/4 of an inch. And so I cut my cucumber in half, and then I cut it in half one more time. So I've got kind of these planks, stack them up, and I make side cuts, 2 side cuts, stack them again, and run my knife through. Again, I've got some pretty even sizes. And when I'm thinking about a salad like this and what size to chop items, think about your mouthfeel. Think about what you want kind of that end product to be on your fork or spoon. And, you know, for me personally, I want a little bit of everything in every bite. So I'm going to chop my vegetables and things relatively small so that I get a little bit of everything, again, on each bite. Swiping, I flipped my knife over. If you use the flat edge of your knife to do your cutting board swiping, it'll just help keep the sharpness to your knife a little bit longer. Okay, so we've got in there already, we've got the red onion, we've got cucumbers. Next are cherry tomatoes. So this is a little trick that I've learned. So see if it works. Sometimes I tell you, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but here we are. All right, so I've got 2 little cutting boards, okay? And then I've got my cherry tomatoes. And I lay my cherry tomatoes because, you know, you could take 1 cherry tomato and slice it in half, then slice it in half again. And maybe if they're too big, you're slicing them in again, which, you know, can be very relaxing. And it could be a great mindfulness activity. But I have 3 little kids at home. Sometimes let's just to be honest, most of the time, I don't have that kind of time when I'm doing meal prep, nor do I maybe want to. So I've laid my cherry tomatoes out on my cutting board. I'm taking that second cutting board and I'm laying it on top and I'm applying just a little bit of pressure. So now here the key is that you either need a super swoop, see, they're rolling around already. You either need a really sharp chef's knife or go with a serrated bread knife. And that will cut through your tomato skins super slick. So again, I apply a bit of pressure. I take my knife and cut right down the middle of those cutting boards. And now all of my tomatoes magically cut in half in, you know, probably 1/10 of the amount of time of doing each individual one. And well, some of them are still a little big. These cherry tomatoes were kind of on the giant side, but, and then I can just kind of swipe my knife through and I've got them still a lot faster than doing each individual tomato by itself. So a fun little trick to maybe try at home and switch things up a little bit. I'm going to put in my tomatoes there. And now is some more flavor, right? So I talked about the lentils and the farro, which can be pretty dense and respond really well to really vibrant flavors. And one thing that I really like about this recipe is that these are ingredients that are really coming into season right now. Some of you might have cherry tomato bushes that are just exploding. This is an awesome recipe to use up a bunch of those cherry tomatoes. Also thinking about the fresh herbs. If anybody grows mint, you'll know that it spreads like a weed. It's pretty much a weed in the garden. And if you do plant it, because if you like mint, like I love mint, I love having it around, but keep it contained. So plant it in a garden that is well, portioned off and away from everything else, because it will spread like crazy. I have a neighbor that has it growing in their landscaping rocks, and it's fantastic because it just spreads around and it's excellent. So I've got my pile of fresh mint, and I'm working my knife through. Now, mint you can gather up into a pile by itself, and this is one where you're going to want it chopped up so it spreads throughout your dish. But you could tear it by hand if you wanted to. You could make nice fine julienne strips. But I also, because of the quantity that you need for this, I often just pile it up, spread it back to the middle, and rock my knife through. Always when you're rocking that knife, that nice strong grip on your knife and a flat hand on top, never kind of curling those fingers underneath when you're doing those quick rocking motions through your mint or through your other herbs or what have you. So we've got our mint, and that just smells absolutely divine. So I love the mint there. And then we've got parsley. Now this is kind of a giant bit of parsley here. And we only need about 1/4 cup. So that's going to be, we're going to take about half that bunch of parsley away. And we've got some really long stems here. So an easy way that I like to kind of get the parsley off, certainly you could take the time and take each individual leaf off. But again, I like to do it a little bit faster sometimes. And I just shear off the leaves. And that there's maybe a couple that get caught, and I'll just pull those out. Parsley is one that the fine stems are really okay. They bring in a lot of color. They bring in a bit of crunch too. But I would stay away from kind of the thicker ends of this stem. They can bring some bitterness into the taste. So we're going to kind of just roll up your leaves. Some other herbs like cilantro or thyme or something like that has a really fine stem to it. You can just chop those up and put them in your mix, and they actually bring in quite a lot of flavor. A cilantro stem just tastes like cilantro, whereas a parsley stem kind of tastes kind of bitter. So just playing around with your herbs and kind of what you like, again, mouthfeel, texture, taste, and what you prefer. So here we've got our parsley. Again, I've chopped it, done that kind of coarse chop throughout. And this kind of reminds me of, you can go to Bed Bath and Beyond or wherever, and you see this giant wall of gadgets, right? And, there's herb cutters and, slicers that you can get all of those leaves off of your stems with. And certainly some of those are really great to have and really great tools to add to your kitchen if you'd like. But I think sometimes that can also be a barrier to folks who are new to cooking and thinking that I need all of these gadgets in order to create a really delicious meal. And really, quite simply, we can make a delicious, healthful meal with a good quality, a chef's knife, right? And when I say good quality, that's not hundreds of dollars. That's maybe $20 for a chef's knife or what have you. And then certainly you can build up from there. A couple of cutting boards. a saute pan, a couple of saucepans, maybe a stock pot for soups or things, and you can make almost any recipe that you find in a cookbook on the internet or what have you, and just building up some of those skills. So we've got some good tools there and can set up a kitchen pretty inexpensively. And the last ingredient that I like to put in this salad is some crumbled feta. So about a cup of crumbled feta. And here we have beautiful colors. We've got our grains, we've got our feta, our tomatoes, our cucumbers, our onion, our fresh herbs here. When I talk to folks about eating healthfully, we always are talking about eating the rainbow, right? And thinking about how many fruits and vegetables we're eating, how much color we're eating in whole foods. And this salad is an excellent example that, we kind of hit that mark of, 4 to 5 different colors on your plate at every meal. And just this salad alone hits all of that. And maybe I put a chicken breast or some chicken breast with it. Maybe I put some roasted salmon with it. Again, maybe I just eat this all by itself and sit down with a nice cool bubbly beverage or something like that, right? And make it fancy for myself. Again, quick and easy. It makes quite a large quantity, as you can see. And that again, because of the robustness of the ingredients and of the grains, it will hold up quite well in the refrigerator for kind of your meal prep throughout the week or what have you. And to be honest, a salad like this really gets better if it has an opportunity to sit a little bit. So making it, in the early afternoon, if you've got an evening engagement or what have you, or the day before, and stick it in the fridge and you're ready to go the next day for your 4th of July barbecue tomorrow or what have you. So there we are, a zesty lentil salad.
That looks really good. It looks really delicious.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions? We might have a minute or two for a couple of questions. And I'm sorry, I can't see the chat if there are any in the chat.
We'll look at them for you. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Kendall, I saw you raise your hand. Maybe. Yeah. Susan is wondering if we can get the recipe.
Yes, certainly. I will email it to you all or to David right after this, and you will all have it in your inboxes in like 10 minutes.
Oh, Kendall just wanted the recipe. Okay, great. Do you have any classes coming up that you'd like to plug, or how could we sign up for your classes?
Yeah, excellent. Great question. Thank you. So we will be having 2 classes at Red Butte Gardens. One is actually coming up on Monday, the 8th. And that one of my fellow culinary medicine instructors, Dr. Trisha Petzold, is going to be doing a hands-on cooking class called Food and Mood, looking at how what we eat affects how we feel and our moods. And then I will be leading a hands-on cooking class at Red Butte in August 1st. And that one is all about, fueling for your summer activities, but also helping to fight inflammation and recovery from activity during our summer adventures. And then we will sometimes have things throughout the year, and so keep an eye out, but also make sure you check out the Peak cooking classes. I know Well You is going through a big transformation right now, but our friends at Osher and at Peak Health and Fitness do cooking classes here in the Foods Lab as well. And those are really fantastic hands-on opportunities. The employees of the university get great discounts and opportunities on. So definitely check out their website as well.
Great.
Excellent. Thanks all for having me, and have a wonderful day and a great break.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Okay. That was I might make that for a barbecue tomorrow. Looked really good.
I think she should come every month.
I
That
think
was
you're right.
awesome. I learned so
Yeah.
much, and she's got such a great personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knew? I didn't know how to cut vegetables.
The tomato sandwich board thing was really a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Cool. Okay, so moving on to our agenda, the last thing that we have, Solomon, it looks like there is a commuter service update from you. Are you ready for us?
I am ready. I have a short presentation. It's everyone's favorite topic. There will be plenty of time for questions also throughout, so feel free to interrupt. Let's see. There we go. All right. Initially, I was going to call this Commuter Services Deep Dive, but there is so much information that it's now a shallow dive. I just want to get everyone up to date with what's going on and kind of open the door for communication. So first of all, we're more than just parking. I run into this all the time. People refer to us as parking services. That was our name decades ago. We are commuter services now. We do more than just parking, although I think what most people do view is that we are the parking services. Things we do, active transportation. If you don't know about any of these services, feel free to ask more or hop on our website. Most of it's on there. We run a campus bike shop. It's a partially subsidized bike shop where you don't pay for labor. You pay a flat rate for any service plus any parts. I operate that shop. It's a pet project of mine and I absolutely love it. Aside from that, we manage the spin, scooter, and bike contract that's you've been seeing across campus. Currently, there's no bikes, but there's plenty of scooters. We recently finally identified a single bicycle registration platform with the University of Utah Police. We're using the biggest one in the world. It's called Bike Index. If you own a bike, hop on to our website. It'll show you how to register it. That registration lives with you. If you leave the university, it exists throughout the world. So it's a good thing, helps you recover your bike if it's stolen, helps you prove that you own a bike if it's stolen. It's just, obviously, it's all about like recovering a bike if it's stolen, but there are other ways in which it helps. We have recently taken over bike parking planning from the Sustainability Office. That's a kind of a new thing. Sustainability Office has done wonders with it over the past few years. We're taking it back over, working with planning, and we're coming up with some design standards to help plan into the future. Aside from that, active transportation, we're always collaborating, Sustainability Office, planning, facilities, about education and promotion. I'm sure you're all aware that we have a UTA transit pass and that we have campus shuttles. If you don't know, tickets to ride most athletic events. If you're not part of the university, anybody who has a ticket, they can ride UTA for free on that day. We recently transitioned from Lyft to Uber for employee travel and patient travel to and from the university. This is a fairly small program because it's so limited. For the majority of us here, it would just be for employee travel. It helps because you don't have to do reimbursements if you use it. You could just pay directly for that employee's travel, the Uber trips and such. So it's a nice little benefit. There's no discount or anything. It's just really easy to use on this end. And then we have a new UTA program. It's a ride matching or carpool program that we're going to be, it's actually available right now, but we're going to put it on our website in the next month or so. That if you are interested in matching with somebody that you want to carpool with, it will help you match with someone at the university. You can always opt to match with anyone within the Salt Lake Valley, but this will help you match with someone who probably has a similar destination. Aside from that, things that are less known are that we are the repository for commuter information. So travel mode splits, air quality reporting, scope 3 emissions, that's all resides in my office. We gather it all. Even if we don't use it, we gather it. We are the repository for this information. And because of that, trying to get the word out that I'm a great collaborator for research and student capstone projects. Most of the time, I end up working with a lot of engineering students who think that they have a solution for parking. I always approach them and say, that's great. Do you want me to tell you the limitations of what we're facing, or do you want to just run with it and dream big? And it's hit and miss depending on what they want to do. Either way, I definitely help them get an A. Aside from that, we do have assistantships, graduate assistantships, and internships. They're always kind of growing and evolving because we're such an operationally focused department. We don't do that much research. It's kind of hit and miss depending on whether people are interested. Obviously, GIS, which is like campus map, anything mapping, we have a really ingrained internship program through them. And then the assistantship is a new one with the planning department, the Masters of City and Metropolitan Planning, who, for students who are looking to be a little bit more hands-on on the operational side instead of the long-term planning side. So that's something new that we're starting. Parking, everyone's favorite topic. I also oversee the appeals division. So if you appeal a ticket, I won't see it. I'm just the manager. But if you do yell at my appeals officers, you will hear from me. They often get the brunt, the worst of unhappy people because you appeal a ticket, and if it's denied, you're going to yell at whoever you talk to last. Their job is just to do appeals. You know, they're just like, well, how does the policy apply? So I always feel a little bit bad for them, but we have a great team. They are actually your advocate. But this is something that's really necessary to understand is we're constantly having to balance parking needs, and they are not all the same. This is something I just mocked up, so this is not an official document. But we have like 3 main categories of people who are coming to the U. We have commuters, most of the staff would fall into that category. We have patients and visitors, and then we have housing and residents, or housing residents. And these 3 groups do not have the same needs at all. They have vastly different needs. And balancing these 3 different groups is very difficult. Surface area, it looks like, oh, there's plenty of commuter space, but that's including all of the grass, you know, and buildings. So it looks great, but when you get into it, you realize that our campus population has increased by about 7,000 since 2019. That's 7%. And our parking quantity has stayed about the same. And I'm talking about the quantity available to you and me. Everywhere else, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes we're helping with Research Park, but like the general parking quantity has stayed about the same. Technically, we're up 250 stalls, but that's nothing compared to the 7,000 more people. And we're planning on having even more people as we continue to grow our student population, our staff and faculty population will have to grow as part of that. And we found last year, after some heavy analysis, that during peak hours, which this graph shows, we have less than 10% of parking stalls available on campus. That's still a couple thousand stalls, but that's scattered all the way across campus. And one of the most difficult things that we've seen is I referenced 2019 a lot because that's pre-COVID. And I'm not disillusioned. We're never going to have pre-COVID. It doesn't exist anymore. But as a reference point, staff are still more than 50% are driving alone. And while that's been consistent, and I'd love to bring that down, an important thing to note is that our transit ridership has gone down about 20%. So we have had an increase in telecommute, and that has helped offset it. But the reason that we're running into this parking issue is the people who seem to be riding transit are now telecommuting. So that didn't save anyone anything. And then the number of people who are driving has just about stayed the same. With that, people think that we're not secretive. We just keep our heads down. We're a small crew. We just keep our heads down and try and keep things moving. Because of that, we don't do a lot of at the U articles. I'm not doing, this is like one of the first times I've ever seen anyone do something like what I'm doing. We're trying to change that, trying to cut some time out to keep people involved, show that we are collaborative. We want to know any idea is a good idea as long as it fits within the parameters in which we have to operate. Our focus aligns as much as it can with the whole university, support student success, of course, through research and real world experiences, guide the development of commuter programs that help us meet our climate goals, and then improve our commuter experiences through TDM programs. That's my specialty. And we'll get into each of these. Student success, like I said, it's my favorite thing. Capstone projects, I absolutely love it. Students have the most novel ideas. They are not jaded by the world. They still think that, everything is possible, and it always surprises me, the ideas they come up with. The hardest thing that I have to do is often tell them, even if it is feasible, it'll take 5-6 years and they won't be a student here by the time it happens. It's just, we work at a state institution and we're big. It just takes time to do things. Aside from that, like I mentioned, we're always looking to give them real world experience, trying to even just help them create, I'm trying to create a database of all of these metrics that I have and have it publicly available. That's not there yet, but eventually I want to have this just kind of be an open book where people can access and utilize and analyze the information that we're always collecting. The Climate Action Plan was just recently updated. It covers the entire university, everything. As for transportation, these are the 4 key points. Develop a plan to convert our fleet to electric. It's already been done. We're going to hit that goal by 2030. Develop a plan to increase electric vehicle charging stations. For any of you who have electric vehicle chargings or electric vehicles, we currently have, I think, 20 chargers on campus. And at the end of last year, a generous donor donated us 100 chargers. It's wonderful. We're going to install them all, but that installation is actually the hardest part. Buying stations is always the easiest part, but utility work is always the hardest. We're planning on installing about 30 in garages because that's where it's easiest, as soon as possible. And then the rest of the 70 will be installed at later time as soon as funding and everything becomes available. I do have a grant out right now, a federal grant that should help us with the installation costs, but we haven't been officially awarded it yet. We've gotten a hint that we might get it, but we'll have to see. We're always actively collaborating with UTA to increase service levels. They are struggling, just like our campus shuttle system is struggling to have drivers, and yeah, we're always trying to work on that, and we're always looking for feedback. David, the chargers will not be free. So currently, chargers, if you have the way that the chargers currently work and the future chargers will at least work at the beginning, things can always change as programs develop, is if you have a parking permit, you can opt to, okay, so let me start from the beginning. We pass on the cost of electricity to customers. It's currently 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour. On top of that, we charge a parking fee because there's no free parking on campus. So whatever our visitor parking rate is, it's currently $3 an hour. That's passed on as well. So it's 7.5 cents per kilowatt plus $3 per hour for parking. If you have a parking permit, we waive the parking fee and you just pay for power. We're planning on continuing that with the new chargers. And then, as like I said, funding and programs develop, that can change. And then increase alternative transportation options. We're always looking at innovative technology. That's why we brought Spin to campus, and we're just trying to get people to use things other than driving their car. And then this is my bread and butter, transportation demand management. It's called TDM. It's important. It's hard to quantify. And basically it is making everything more efficient, trying to get people to use the infrastructure and programs as efficiently as possible. So rather than drive alone, maybe drive with your spouse or drive with a carpool, take transit. We do have some barriers to some of these things that we need to implement because of the systems that are in place right now. And those changing a system takes time. So largely what I've been doing is evaluating our programs for effectiveness, developing plans for future options and incentives. And then once we can implement those, I want to ease access and increase amenities. And as part of this, we also know that, like I said, we're under 10% available parking at peak hours. So we need to look at our parking under a microscope and decide how can we manage this more effectively. Before we get into the ongoing projects, any questions about kind of where we are, what we do, or things that you think I may have missed?
Solomon, where is the bike shop at?
The bike shop, yes. Don't have a campus map, but I'm sure everyone knows where the UMFA is, near the business loop. It is the tiny shack to the east of the UMFA. We had a sign, the wind blew it down. I need to get it back up. I manage it, and I have 2 part-time mechanics, and they are amazing, and they are students, so hours sometimes have to vary every semester, but if you catch us when we're open, we will do excellent work.
Are those hours posted anywhere by chance?
Yeah, on our website.
On the website,
and
great.
The website needs to be updated. I just hired a new mechanic, so we are open all week now, 8 to 4. But that's not what's on the website. That'll be updated later today or maybe Monday.
Great. I need a tune up for sure.
Absolutely. And the best thing, and we have an email address on there. The number one thing, just share this if you ever get asked. Just if you don't actually know how to maintain a bike or you don't know what you need, most of the time people ask for a tune up, and the best thing is just bring your bike in and we'll tell you what you need as a minimum. We're happy to do a tune up, but you could probably save some money if we just adjust a derailleur or something. And Carrot, absolutely. Thank you. Building 171. Okay, so ongoing projects. These are things that we're currently working on. Number one complaint we get is that we are not transparent. So we are trying to improve our website. We are trying to increase the clarity of our policies, have a FAQ. We're working on how-to video guides because we do know that how to buy and manage your parking permit, it's not the most straightforward system. And so we of course know how to do it because we do it all the time. And we don't have 100% control over that. So rather than try and change the system, we're going to do a guide. And so you can follow along with us as we walk you through every single step. We're working on those currently. Parking utilization and distribution, that's something we're doing constantly. We're always, you'll see A areas, U areas, all of these things are constantly in flux and we're changing them. That's because we're trying to meet the needs of the people in that area. It's a hard balance because even between staff and students and faculty, those three groups who are all commuters still have different needs. Students need more transient space, right? They need space where they can come and go. They come to a class, go to work, come back to class. Staff, we're here typically 8 hours a day. So we just need a place to park. And then faculty are kind of like a hybrid of those two models. They typically are in the office more in the morning and then they might have to leave or go do a lecture somewhere else. So it's always a hard balance. Active transportation service standards, as I mentioned before, we recently took over the bike parking for campus, and we're looking at trying to define campus standards as we move into the future. Increased secure bike parking that's not locked into a building, but maybe outside the building so it's more accessible for everyone, things like that. And then, as I mentioned, more EV chargers. We are currently in a status of having not enough, and after we install these 100, I'm hoping we're going to go into a model of surplus where I don't have to charge a big fee once you're fully charged to get you to move. So we'll have to see how that goes. Upcoming services. These are things that we're working on but about to launch. Ticket diversion program. I've mentioned this a few times. This is it's going to be called the Tickets for Training program. If you get a parking ticket, that's kind of a general parking ticket, like you didn't have a permit or just you parked too long in a meter or something like that. You can essentially do what's akin to a plea in abeyance. You say, yeah, I got this ticket. I know I'm at fault. I waive my right to appeal. Once you do that, you can take a training, which tells you even more than what I'm going to cover today, all about parking, and then we'll waive that ticket for you. You can do that once a semester for one ticket. We're just working out the final operational sides, but otherwise it's going to be through Canvas because that's available to everyone. And really excited for it. We're hoping that actually reduces the amount of appeals we get. So that's really exciting. A parking availability service. We're going to RFP for a service that is going to provide a map of where parking is available live. Basically, we don't have a vendor yet, so I can't tell you exactly what it'll look like, but essentially you'll go on your phone, either on a website or an app, and you say, I have an A permit, and it'll show you everywhere that there is A parking available and how many there are. This will be available. This will be slowly rolled out. It'll be, again, it's always easier to roll these things out in garages. So those will be the first. And then as we install whatever sort of sensor they need in the surface lots, it'll also be rolled out there. It's a service that doesn't fix any commuter problem, but it will provide us live feedback on how parking is being utilized. So I'm really excited about that data portion. And I know everyone who commutes is going to be excited about knowing where to go to park, because you get into a routine and you go to that same parking lot and then one day it's full and you don't know where else you can park because you're not used to checking around campus. Yes, Allie's familiar with the Tickets for Training program. Yeah, I'm very excited. Active commuter data collection. We are installing eco counters around campus. These count pedestrians and bicycles. and they'll help us see how many people are coming via alternative modes. I have a lot of data about vehicles. I don't have a lot of ongoing data about how people are traveling actively. So this is going to be really exciting. They're going to be in key points, and we are also going to have a couple that are for rent for researchers. We'll have them out in the field, but if a researcher wants to target an area, we can move them over there and we can do a collection in that area. UTA Carpool, as I mentioned, there's a carpool program. We're excited about it. We're going to promote it. Once you register as a carpool, which is a process, first you have to sign up for the account, find a carpool, then like verify that you're a carpool. I haven't done it myself. You get guaranteed ride home credits through Lyft or Uber. I'm not sure which, but basically per year you can have 6 guaranteed ride home credits, which is critical to any sort of program like this, because if you carpool and then you need to get home immediately and you aren't the one who drove, or you are the one that drove but you don't want to strand somebody, this helps mitigate that sort of scenario. And finally, one of the services that I'm working on kind of on the back burner is centralizing all of the secure bike parking on campus. We are commuter services, so I'm always the one who I get calls saying, how do I get access to the cage in the law school? And I say, I don't know. I would walk into the law school and start asking questions if I were you. One of the things that we would like to do, and we still need to, this is probably the first time anyone has heard of this, is because we haven't started our outreach yet, is we want to centralize that, where wherever possible, we can take ownership and just give access to secure bike parking when you ask for it for across campus. Doesn't matter which building you're in, you can have access to secure bike parking. This won't apply to housing, of course, because those are residents and they need their space specialized. And then there's a couple special areas like Huntsman Cancer, where the bike parking is inside of the clinic area, and we're not going to touch those. But for the majority of us, it would be nice to be able to, if you need to have a meeting down at the law school, you could ride your bike down and know that it's taken care of. Finally, opportunities to connect. Like I said, one of the big pushes I've been having is this sort of thing. That's why I joined as ex officio. I want to help share this information, create a point of contact where we're not just the big bads, hiding in a corner. We have a bad image. We know we have a bad image, and some of that we can't change. We still are going to have to enforce parking rules. But at the very least, we can help be transparent and tell people why things exist the way they do. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. If you know of a student or a researcher who's doing a project, again, they can reach out to me. We do have the Parking System and Public Advisory Committee. I will post a link to that in the chat. And if you have general comments and feedback, our general email is parkingpermits@utah.edu.
Solomon, we have one more question in the chat. Does the UTA carpool and ride matching work in counties outside of Salt Lake City? Davis County is the Wild West of public transit.
That's a great question. Off the cuff, I don't know. The services that I know aren't included are like the ski bus, and then the Park City Connect bus. That's hit and miss. There's a analysis that goes on every year depending on how many people live in the Park City area in Summit County, and if it's a certain number, then we subsidize that bus. It's convoluted. But other areas, I actually don't know. I would assume so, but I would have to ask.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. Well, great. Thank you, Solomon. That was a lot of really great information. Looking forward to making my bike stop squeaking.
Yeah, and I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's almost everything. So let's opportunity for any shout outs or sharing any successes. David.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Susan. She talked a little bit about that development opportunity, but that was all her going out there, having the conversations, taking time put that together, and that may really result in a great opportunity for staff at the university. So thank you, Susan.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, I think that's it. We're done with our agenda. So I guess, is there a motion for adjourning? Yeah. Anyone?
Motion.
All right. Second for that? David? Great. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being here with us today before the holiday, and thanks for being nice to me on my first presentation or first meeting of one of these. Thanks. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Enjoy your 4th of July.